on ketones improving brain energetics and cognitive performance in MCI. I'm presenting these results on behalf of my co-authors from the University of Sherbrooke in Quebec, Canada, and from Nestlé Health Science in Lausanne, Switzerland. These results will be published, they are published, in fact, online in Alzheimer's and Dementia with the first author as Fortier, M. Fortier et al. These are my disclosures, with Nestlé Health Science and the Alzheimer's Association being the principal funders of this project. So the context for the BENEFIC trial is that we view the brain like a hybrid car. That is, that it's running on two types of energy to make the engine run. Glucose is the gasoline, and ketones are the electric motor and the battery. And normally, glucose is supplying 70 to 95% of the energy that the brain uses, the adult brain uses, and ketones are supplying the difference. You get to 30% of the brain energy requirements from ketones if you fast for extended periods, or indeed in infants as well, in which the brain is running consistently on ketones as about 30% of their requirement. The problem as mild cognitive impairment or Alzheimer's disease develops has been known for a long time as far as the glucose metabolism by the brain is concerned. These images show in cross-sectional studies in control individuals in mild cognitive impairment MCI and in Alzheimer's disease AD, the decline in glucose uptake in the brain expressed as the glucose constant K. These are PET images with the tracer fluorodeoxyglucose, and you have a wide distribution of the yellow-orange color high on the scale in the healthy control individuals with normal cognition. When MCI develops, there's a gap that starts to show in the parietal cortex so that the reddish color starts to disappear, and this is most evident in Alzheimer's disease. So it's all green here now above the ears where it should have been orange and yellow. This problem has been known for over 40 years now, and we describe it in some detail in our recent review in Nature Reviews Drug Discovery. So the decline is shown with this dotted circle as it being a low level of decline in MCI and a more severe decline in Alzheimer's disease. If we look in the same individuals with a PET scan that's done about 30 minutes before the glucose scan using a ketone tracer acetoacetate, and also look at the uptake rate constant, so these are the same individuals, we see a lower uptake of ketones in the brain than of glucose. So the green is lower on the scale than the orange. But when we move to MCI and to Alzheimer's disease, we don't see a decline. There's not less green going towards blue. In fact, there's a little bit more yellow and even some orange in some cases. So there's no decrease in the uptake of ketones in Alzheimer's disease. And in fact, in some individuals, there's some increase. So this shows that this area of the brain is starving, in fact, because these cells require some form of energy, and they're using ketones because they're not getting enough glucose. So when we look at this model of the hybrid car, what we're seeing on the left-hand side with the glucose is that there's a decline of about 10% in mild cognitive impairment, and a further decline of another 10%, or a total of about 20% in the early stages of Alzheimer's disease, a problem that gets worse as the disease progresses. Whereas with the ketone side, there is no decrease in the uptake into Alzheimer's disease, and the ketones remain a good fuel both in MCI and in Alzheimer's disease, results which we have detailed and published over the past couple of years. So this is the basis for the BENEFIC trial, the goal of which was initially, the phase 1 of this trial was to attempt long-term brain energy rescue with ketones in MCI. So by using a ketone supplement, we try to restore what we call the brain energy gap a little closer to normal. That is what we refer to as brain energy rescue. When we moved to the second phase of the trial, we had seen some cognitive improvement that I'll be showing you, and we increased the sample size to validate the impact of the brain energy rescue on cognition. These are the details of the BENEFIC trial design, which were reported on clinicaltrials.gov, phase 1 and phase 2. In phase 1, we did the cognitive evaluation and we did the brain imaging. It was a 6-month intervention. We did the cognitive evaluation again after 6 months, and we repeated the brain imaging, just as I showed you in the previous cross-sectional study. In the second phase of the study, we again did the cognitive evaluation, but we did not do the brain imaging, and we did a metabolic study to assess whether the body was able to use ketones as effectively at the start as 6 months later. So again, the cognitive evaluation was repeated afterwards, the metabolic study was repeated afterwards, and there was no imaging during the second phase of the study. In phase 1, we recruited 52 people and completed it in 2017. In phase 2, we recruited 70 people, and it was completed in 2019. During the 6-month phase with the intervention, the oral nutritional supplement was a skim milk emulsion drink, which had an active ingredient or a placebo ingredient. The active ingredient was the ketogenic MCT, KMCT, 15 grams of KMCT, which is a mixture of the C8 and C10 MCT in 125 mils, or about 4 ounces per day, twice per day, in whom 39 people completed the study. Those that were on the placebo got HOSO, which is high oleic acid sunflower oil, mainly oleic acid, non-ketogenic, same volume, same frequency per day. 43 people completed the study. So the cognitive evaluation I'm going to describe is based on this comparison of 43 versus 39 collected over both phases of the study. The participant demographics of the completers, separated by placebo group or MCT group. You can see the characteristics are listed here, the data are shown here, and the p-values are shown on the right. So there was no statistical difference in the male-female ratio, the ApoE4 ratio to ApoE3, age, education, depression score, physical activity score, the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, or the MMSE. Not shown in detail, in the body mass index, glucose, TSH, vitamin B12, or homocysteine. These were mixed amnestic and non-amnestic MCI as defined by normal criteria. The results of the study, first we'll start with the increase in the blood ketones and brain ketones on this study, and they are reported in the article that was just published in Alzheimer's and Dementia. So when we look at the blood ketones, the placebo had no effect on ketones either at the beginning or at the end of the trial. The KMCT in blue, the pre-response to a dose of the KMCT, we need to get a nice sharp response that declines over 2 hours or so. And that response is sustained. It is actually a little more, but not statistically different at the end of the trial. So the ability of the body to produce ketones from the KMCT over 6 months was unaffected. This increase, we examined the ketone PET changes in the brain ketone uptake at around 1 hour after the dose. And you can see that if they were on the KMCT drink, the ketones light up the brain. This reddish color here is high on the scale compared to the green level of ketone uptake, which is much lower. And if they were on the placebo, it's the same low amount of ketone uptake. So this change represents about a doubling, a twofold increase in brain ketone uptake, as shown by ketone PET imaging. When we look at the cognitive results, there was improvement on 4 cognitive tests in 3 cognitive domains. The domains were episodic memory, executive function, and language. Specifically, it was a free and cued recall test, trial 1, that showed the beneficial effect of the KMCT of trial 1. And the KMCT is showing that This bar shows that there's a one-word improvement in the number of words recalled.
How are you all?
Delta words recalled. That's the difference between the performance at the beginning of the study and the performance at the end of the study. Yes. Improvement on the KMC.
Keep chatting, guys. I'll be with you in a few minutes. I'm almost done with the ketone lecture right now and the Alzheimer's. But keep chatting. I'll let people in as they come.
Did you stay up, Christian?
My husband and I did, but I think we went to bed at midnight, maybe.
Yeah, it's about 12:30 for me. It's like, okay.
Yeah, we could have kept going, but I had to get up early this morning. And
performance again on executive function.
Yeah, I know.
It's as if
I'm getting myself out of bed this morning.
I know, me too. My youngest daughter, I drive her to the bus stop in the morning, and so I usually wake up.
In terms of looking at mechanism, we plotted the ketone results
And I woke up and it was
against the
6:40.
cognitive
I'm
results for
like,
these
no.
tests. So it's the delta
Because I have to
number
take
of
the dogs
words
out first and then do
for
her
episodic
lunch.
memory,
Yeah, I only
executive
have
function,
like
and
a window of
language
time, but we
against
made
the plasma ketones, either beta hydroxybutyrate
Did
or
you?
ketones.
How many children do you have?
Acetoacetate
I
combined.
have 3, so
And you
my
can see that
oldest is
there's a
in Chicago.
significant
She's
positive relationship
24.
between the ketone value in the blood
Our middle daughter
and
is
the
19.
capacity to
And Angie is 16.
remember these
The 3
words.
girls.
Is Lily your middle daughter?
Difference here, a
Yes.
significant correlation
Yeah.
in all 3
Yeah,
tests.
and she's doing online
There is an
studies right
overlap
now.
between the KMCT
And
group and the placebo group, so the
one daughter?
ketones
I just
did
have the
not
one.
rise
Yeah,
in
she's down
everyone
in San
who
Diego.
was
She's 29.
on the ketogenic drink. But the placebo group was basically
They're
around
so
0
fun.
here in both senses.
Yes.
And so we see that there's not
Do you
much of
live
an effect
near San
of the
Diego?
placebo
You're in Orange
and a
County,
significant
I'm in Orange
effect
County.
of
Yeah.
the KMCT directly related to the plasma
I grew
ketone
up in Indiana and
concentration.
then moved to Orange County in 2009
Just recently
when I went
submitted
through my
from the
divorce
same
and when
study, we show here the
my
white
daughter
matter
was
tracks
accepted at
in the
UCI.
brain, which have a low ketone
She went
uptake
back to San
normally. It's
Diego
the
and I'm
first
still
time
here.
that anyone has
It's a
reported
nice
the
place
actual
to visit back in
metabolism
Yeah,
of
it
an energy
is.
substrate
Not
by
too
the
bad
white
of a
matter
drive.
in the brain. And here, after the KMCT,
Hi,
you can see the
Edna.
color has gone
Hi
from the
there. How are
turquoise
you guys?
green
Good. How are
color
you?
down here about 20,
Good.
about 20 up into the
Yeah,
yellow
hanging
to
in there.
orange. The tips of these
Good.
white matter tracks are lighting up more
How are you
than
guys?
the middle
No
of the track
results yet.
itself.
I know we
This
were
is showing
talking
that
about
the
how we
ketone
were
uptake
staying
in the
up
white
late.
matter
Were
is
you up late
significantly
last night
improved
too? Oh yeah.
after the KMCT drink and is highly significantly positively correlated with processing
The
speed.
whole country
So
was.
this suggests that white matter is
we
really
still don't have
important
any
for
results.
improving
And
white
that's
matter
the thing,
energy
is we knew we
metabolism.
wouldn't,
It's
but
really important for
we
improving
tried to see as close as we
processing
could get
speed.
before going to
And
bed.
we see a strong correlation. And this has just been submitted for
The
publication.
nature of the beast, isn't it? Yeah, but they're
So
working
to summarize
hard,
the
bless their
mechanistic
hearts.
link, when we take the ketogenic
It's
drink, the KMCT, the combination of
ever
C8 and C10 twice a day, this goes into the blood, taken up by the liver. Ketones are produced in the liver. They're secreted back into the blood. We can see this increase in blood ketones. We can see it translated to an increase in brain ketone uptake, and we can see that translated to improved cognitive function. So the energy cognitive function relationship in the brain seems to be quite clear.
Is that Liz getting on there?
In summary,
That's Liz, I
in
think.
mild cognitive impairment,
Liz.
our ketogenic
That's
MCT drink
Hi guys.
increased blood and brain ketones over 6 months.
Gonna leave for work in a
It
few minutes, so
corrected
I'm
about
muted so
1/3
I
of the
won't
brain
make noise.
energy or brain glucose
Okay.
deficit that's present
I'm just
in
taking
mild
my
cognitive
meds.
impairment.
Whose turn is it today? It's my
KMCT improved
turn.
memory,
Oh,
executive
I
function,
wanna hear
and
you.
language, and with a
Well, I'm
moderate
glad you're
effect size
listening.
in all
And
3
Elaine, are
cognitive
you on?
domains.
I see you were muted.
I'm in the
These
midst of my
cognitive
meds.
results were directly
Trying to get
related
them
to the
down.
increase in
Oh,
plasma
good
ketones
girl.
on 4 different
All right,
cognitive
well,
tests.
I
So
will
there's a
go ahead
direct
and get
relationship
us
between the
started.
energy status of the
Dr.
brain and the
Trent said
cognitive
he'd be on
performance.
shortly. Oh, I thought
I
he
haven't
was going
shown
to
the
be doing
details for this,
Alzheimer's.
but it's in the
He's
publication.
finishing
But
up
the
right
plasma
now.
metabolic and
So
safety
he said
profile
he's
was
listening
unchanged
at the
after
last
6
minute of it,
months.
letting people in.
And this suggests, given that we have a
But
moderate
my
effect
topic
size
for
in these
today was
cognitive
going to be
domains, with
on
just 40 people per
forgiveness
group,
and a
it
call to
suggests
love.
that it's worth
And
testing the ketogenic
I really
MCT
didn't know
drink to
what I
delay
was going to talk
progression of
about for the
MCI
longest
to
time.
Alzheimer's disease.
And I just kept praying
This
and
trial was
trusting
not
the
a
Lord would
progression
bring something
study. It
to
was not
me.
designed for it. It wasn't powered
the other morning as I was doing my devotion and
To
sipping
my
my
team and our
coffee out
collaborators,
of one of my favorite
thank
mugs
you
I'll
to our
share with you.
partners, and
This
thank you to our
topic came to
participants.
mind. So, one of the verses that I wanted to share is from Ephesians
Hello everyone, this is
4:32,
David Scott with
and it
BioClinica,
says, "Be
and I appreciate
kind
the
and
opportunity.
compassionate to one another, forgiving each other,
That was a good
just as
lecture.
in Christ God forgave
Is it
you."
done?
And also Colossians
The
3:12
ketone
through
one's done.
14. Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive whatever grievance you may have against one another. Forgive as the Lord forgave you,